Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome back to another episode of Winning in Business. My name is Kelly Rissy. I'm your hostess here with Rise Up and Live Wellness. And today my guest is Carrie Burggraf, and I'm so excited to be interviewing her. She is a powerhouse, and we are going to have a great discussion today. So let me tell you a little bit about Carrie before we get started. So Carrie Burggraf started her career as a geriatric physician's assistant. After working over 2 decades in healthcare and raising 2 sons, Carrie made the shift to selling home care services in St. Louis. As part of her work in that role, she began coaching junior salespeople for the international company and traveled to work with them in the field to see where they were getting stuck and to mentor them to greater success. She now uses her sales and business development expertise with Wide Awake Business, a national company with 14 consultants, all with different areas of expertise, but all with the goal of helping business owners and leaders lead easier, simpler, and more profitable businesses. So Carrie, welcome.
Hey, Kelly. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I'm so excited to get into our conversation today. I just know that based on the conversation we had and your success, that you're going to provide some awesome tips today. So, it's interesting. You shared a little bit of how you got into, like how you made the transition from home healthcare into what you're doing. But tell us a little bit more about that, like that jump from the healthcare into really dealing with sales people.
Sure. Well, it's kind of funny because I never really necessarily saw myself as a salesperson, but I was selling my mother's hangers through the neighborhood as a kid. So I guess that was always in there somewhere. But I had been raising kids for a while. And when I went back, medicine had changed quite a bit. And I was really ready for something a little different than being in an office and, office door to office door, up to office door. So had an opportunity to start selling home care. And when they started putting me through sales training, which makes perfect sense because I was a PA, right? What do I know about sales? And I went through the Sandler training, and it was funny because they were saying, "Oh, you picked this up so fast." And I said, "No, not really. You're just teaching me to ask questions about where the pain is." And I said, "I've been asking questions about where pain is as a PA my whole career." So it was really funny that that part didn't change so much. It was very fun because it was much more social to be out and about and building relationships. But it really got exciting when I got to start coaching other salespeople. They were looking for, like, how did you break through this barrier and that barrier? And I got to not just coach them on it, but go out in the field with them. And that's when it gets very fun because you can see where what we've been talking about in coaching, where it's happening, where the stuck point is, and to be able to coach them through that and see them break through it and how excited they get. And it's not about convincing somebody to do something they don't want to do. It's about, most of the time when people resist what you have to offer because you can add value, you do what you do for a reason. But a lot of times people say no because they get in their own way. They have a lot of fears, and it's really fun to figure out how to go through questioning people to understand their priorities and how doing this would help meet their priorities and help them overcome their fears. That's very fun to teach and to watch people blossom into that.
I love that. That's, as a coach, that's like the biggest thing that I do, right? Is all about asking the right questions to get people to then tap into their own intuition, their own, they know the answers, right? It's getting them to do that. So, okay, that's fabulous. So what are then some of the big ahas that have really led you into your success?
Um, it's funny, almost everything that is an aha that I've given a client is one I had to learn myself. And I always say to my clients, like they'll say, oh gosh, that's so great. And I'm like, look, everything that is smart now is something I did stupid before. And I learned, we everything that we get smart about is because we overcame ourselves. And I think that the first one for me is just how much we have these beliefs that get in our way when we're out trying to do our jobs. There's one of the clients that I have that I coach, and we were talking about how she feels like she hasn't been very successful in driving business in her, like going from networking to her one-on-ones to turning it into business. So I was asking her, well, what does it sound like when you're talking to someone about potentially doing business with your company? And she said, well, I don't ask. And that was such a surprise to me, just because, of course, we assume that if you're out there networking and doing one-on-ones, that this is about that. But what it meant is she had a thing in her head. Mm-hmm. If she's not asking, there's something happening in her head. So we went way back to uncover the idea. And for her, it might be awkward. I might make them feel awkward, and it's not okay for me to make them feel awkward. So we had to unpack that. Why do you feel that you might make someone whose job is to do business development, who met with you about it? Why are you worried that might be awkward to talk about? And why are you actually responsible for their reaction?
Yes.
Because you're not. You're responsible for your feelings. They're responsible for theirs. And maybe if it feels awkward and they're uncomfortable, they might actually be in the wrong job, because they're supposed to be out networking and building business. So just unpacking that, it's shocking to me. I realized a lot of places I was getting stuck were places that I had head noise. And when I cleared my head noise, I was able to move forward. And so it's fun to see it in other people, not in a judgmental way, but just like, oh, I recognize this. Let's go back there, because as soon as we clear that, they start moving forward again.
Yes. I just did a talk last week for the St. Louis Auditors, their association. And, I talk about stress personalities. And when these stress personalities come up, it's the same, the stress personalities are coming up, and it's the same thing. It's like, and really now I can't do, it's hard to dive in when you're just presenting to a whole room of people, right? But in coaching, that's when you really go, okay, now let's trace this back so that you can get rid of all those limiting beliefs. And it comes up everywhere. It comes up in life. It comes up in sales. Our personal drives our professional drives our personal. It's all cyclical. And my guess is that I'm sure of this, and you would probably agree, how they're showing up in sales is probably how they're showing up in their life also. Because typically, if you're not using your voice, let's say using your voice in one area, you're probably not using it in another area also.
Well, there's that great saying, how you do one thing is how you do anything.
Yes.
So if you apologize for yourself in one area, you're probably, if you pay attention, you're apologizing for yourself in others. If you're advocating for yourself in one, you probably start advocating for yourself in others. So
yes. Excellent. Okay, good. Okay, what else? Great tip. What else?
I would say another one is, especially if we're trying to build our businesses, whether we're in sales and business development, or whether we're just people who own our companies and we're trying to keep the company moving forward, there's so much to do, and that we're trying very hard to be really productive. And sometimes in trying to cover a lot of ground, we get a little unfocused. And there's a saying, a military saying, I think it's from the Marines, that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So a lot of times when I'm working with someone who's trying to build their sales and revenue, I'm having to slow them down and get them to plan more. Because if they come into meetings and they don't know enough about who they're about to talk to, or where they want to go with the meeting, or what the outcome should be, or what the questions would be to help lead to that outcome, you can't hit destinations without a roadmap. Or at least you could, but it's a lot more accidental.
Right.
And so just being more intentional about what they're doing. I found that the more intentional I am, the better it turns out. And that then helping other people see it. And sometimes it's fun as the recovering, like I have to be moving every second person. Teaching it is fun because I can say, look, been there, done that.
Yes.
Here's the advantage and here are the hacks.
Yes.
Right? Doing it.
Yes, that is the biggest thing. There are a lot of people out there that have, and it's usually the high achievers.
Yes.
Right? That it's the slowing down means lazy, means not successful, means not accomplishing. That's one of the biggest things of the people that I coach that we have to bust through that too, and really trace, like your first point of tracing that back to, and where is this really coming from? And is this a belief that we have to hold true today? Because, especially in life in general, when you're going to burn out. You know what I mean? So going back, I love that saying, the slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I immediately thought of swimmers.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Like how just smooth swimmers are, and yet they're so fast. You know what I mean? Whereas,
to your point, I had someone train me in swimming, and he said you're moving your arms too often. He's like, you've just done a kick and you put your arm out there, and when you stop and you go to the other arm, you're interrupting the glide that you just put the power into. So he's like, hold it longer. And it's kind of interesting because we think, well, if we just move faster, but moving faster is not necessarily more productive. So looking at where am I busy and emotion, and where am I actually being purposeful?
Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, what else?
I think that one of the things I had to, as a recovering busy person, and someone who felt like everyone was my client, why would I say no to any business? That really getting very focused about who you serve best. It doesn't mean you're necessarily turning down someone who walks in your door and says, can you help me? But really knowing what you're exceptionally good at, who you serve the best, and really focusing on them. It's really about being a sniper rather than using buckshot, because everyone knows buckshot doesn't really kill much, right? But snipers, very intentional. Again, we go back to being intentional, but in this sense, we're not just talking about how we prepare and our process, but we're talking about even who we target and looking at who really is ideal for us. And there's a book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And I love it because so many of us do a lot of that because we're trying to be successful and we're trying to beat our competition. And he says that if you're doing the thing that you were meant to do, that you were created to do, then you are a one of a kind, you're an original. And in the space where you create from your one of a kind original space, you're unique. So competition doesn't exist. And when you get that out of your head and you just get really focused, knowing there's plenty of business with the people that I serve, there are plenty of them. There are plenty for all of us because we're all different. So my people aren't your people. I don't need to compete, and just really focusing in on who I can really serve and doing the best I can at serving them. That can be so much more productive than trying to be all things to all people, because that really muddies your message too.
Yeah, I think we can look at that as friends. We're not friends with everybody, right? We're attracted to the people that we're friends with. And it's the same thing as clients. Our clients are going to be, when we have our message down and know exactly who we're looking for, we are going to be attracted. You know what I mean? Like they're even if there's another coach that does the same thing, some of the people are going to be attracted to that person, and some are going to be attracted to me just because of personality differences.
Right.
Or, that's, I feel like, and that's excellent. When I first started, for me, like to your point, I was, whenever I feel like when everybody starts, you're like, yes, any business is great. But I was more helping women lose weight. And then I was like, I was just done. You know what I mean? Now, when I coach people, and if that's an area of health that is missing, I will do certain things to help them with some healthy habits. And after that, I've got like 18 people I can refer them to that are still passionate about that. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, absolutely. Well, there's a book called Atomic Habits by James.
Yes.
And he talks a lot about don't get too stuck on your identity, because if you do, you actually keep yourself stuck.
Yes.
Because if you're evolving, your identity is evolving. And if you're too attached to a certain thing, then you don't let yourself grow. So the idea that this was my space, and now as I've grown, I'm moving into a new space, and the people that I pulled in there who I could help because it was their space too, now it's shifting. And there's nothing going wrong. We're just
Right.
all evolving, and I'm attracting different people as I evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Okay. Any other last big aha coming to mind?
I think that it's so much about, again, a lot of this goes to this, but being very specific to it is working on yourself. That all of the big aha is that when I work on me, the things that are meant for me come to me. When I work out here, when I'm hustling out here, it's not as productive. That just getting in alignment with me and figuring out what I should be doing and what space I should be occupying and what I want to accomplish there, then it's so much cleaner, right? The people who come are the right fit. When you show up, you're in your best version of you. It's a much quicker way to get from A to Z, even though I think that it's all out there. It's not, it's all in here.
Yeah. I think my perception, the easier thing for people to do is work on the external, right? Yeah. It's easier to do the out here, right? For those of you listening that can't see, Carrie's out here movement, right? It's so much easier to do the external. Right. And it's a little bit more uncomfortable to do the internal. And yet the internal is where the beauty happens and the growth and, just the I don't know, what word do you have it? I mean, to me, it's the freedom. I call it freedom myself, but.
Well, and that's actually the only place you can really influence when it comes down to it. We work on all this outward stuff, but it's actually a giving away of your power because you're waiting for other people to do something. When you work on you, that's where all your influence is. But it can be tough because it means taking you to places that you don't necessarily love.
Yes. Oh my gosh, y'all. Carrie has dropped like 4 golden nuggets. I hope you all picked them up because they were fantastic. Okay, so question for you is, what are some of the challenges that you face as a female business owner, as or in your personal life, just in general? What are challenges that you still face? Because I feel like it's important for all of us to know that we're all still facing challenges. We never arrive. You know what I mean? It's never like we're done. There's always challenges that we're overcoming.
And it would actually make me a little sad if I was ever done.
Yes, exactly.
Right? When you think about it and reframing that, like it's reframing the idea of not being done that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It means that we have new opportunities, new challenges, new places to grow. And that's where it gets really exciting. I think that one of the things that was really interesting was when I moved from selling home care into doing consulting, very different. I knew it was going to make me grow a lot. And I knew I was ready for something bigger. I felt like I was in this pot and that I was root bound. And so I got a bigger pot and I put myself in the pot. And then all of a sudden I'm saying, well, wait, where are the sides? Where's the bottom? What's wrong? And it felt like something was wrong. It's like, no, it's just different. This is a space you've never been before. You actually invited this into your life. It's what you wanted. And now you're uncomfortable because you can't feel the sides anymore. And you're interpreting this as something is wrong. And I'd say the biggest thing is realizing that growth and change can make you really uncomfortable, and that getting uncomfortable or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is such a blessing because, again, it's all in how we interpret everything and saying, oh gosh, isn't this amazing? I'm a little uncomfortable. I must be challenging myself. I must be growing and shifting the paradigm on what that means. And it's funny because what happens is I've seen that, as always, like we've been talking about the whole time, I've seen this happen with the clients that I have. They hire me because they want me to help them grow. And then we start pushing them. And it's kind of like going to Weight Watchers. Like I think most people would generally know what to do if they wanted to lose weight, but they're looking for accountability. Someone's going to hold them to something. And I've gotten to the point now when I start with a client, I ask them, okay, so this is exciting. We have all this opportunity. What are we going to do in 2 or 3 months when you don't like me very much?
Right.
Because sometimes they know what they need to do and they hire you because they find it hard to do it for themselves and they need structure and accountability. Sometimes they don't want to look at it. They haven't looked at it because it's hard. And we have to get them to look at these painful places. And it takes energy and they don't always want to take the energy. They want, like, can you just make the quick fix? I hired you to make it a quick fix. And rarely is there a quick fix. Again, it's slow and smooth.
Yeah.
Yes, let's get out of the fix. So I'd say that's a big challenge is coming into businesses and asking them to change things they've been doing a long time and not taking the work as an insult. Nobody's doing anything wrong. We're just looking for how we can grow. It's an opportunity. I'm not here to criticize or to threaten anyone's job. It's really just what an exciting opportunity to see where we can go. And I feel like sometimes it's the clients I have that are athletes, have been athletes in their lives, are the easiest because they look at it like, why wouldn't I want someone to tell me how to go faster and jump higher? And why wouldn't I want that help? They understand how this helps them accomplish what they want to accomplish. There are a lot of people when you come in, it feels threatening.
Yeah. Well, and athletes are coachable. Most athletes are coachable and they've had coaches and they've experienced that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas, if you didn't grow up in that environment and you haven't had a coach, then sometimes you come from that place of more it being intimidated instead of knowing that really the coach is there for that support and accountability. And, I know you, just like me as a coach, I mean, we want it just as bad as you do for our clients. Right. You know what I mean? Like we carry that with us.
Right. And we win, right? Everyone.
Yes.
Wins.
Yes.
So it's
fun.
Most of my coaching, yours is so much around stress and burnout and how to kind of heal and work on your energy. And mine is so much more specific to sales and business development. But I find that it's a very similar, some of the things where they're stuck, it's whether it's personally or professionally, it's very similar spaces.
Very similar. Right? Yes.
And it's because we are all human beings, right? And we're all coming from that space.
Yes. And I 100% agree with the support and accountability, right? If not only if you're truly stuck, right? If you are stuck in sales right now, you need to call Carrie and I'll get you that information at the end. And at the same time, sometimes we know what to do. And, not that tweaks can't be made, right? I mean, I even look at my own, let's go back to the health journey alone, right? You can talk about it in a sales way, but I'll talk about a health journey of how I'm always tweaking my health journey. You know what I mean? Like it just how I'm like, oh, and now I am in my 50s and I need to tweak things a little bit, right? And I'm sure like going in with the sales process, it's the same of what things need to be tweaked here and there, but it is like that support and accountability to truly get you going until those like it is just natural of what you're doing, is priceless is what I'm going to say, is to have someone help you really with that support and accountability. That's one of the things that I love myself about having a coach is the support and accountability.
Right. Well, and
left to our own devices, Carrie.
Well, and it's funny because sometimes I feel like, oh, am I really back here again? But sometimes the more times I'm back to the same place, I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to look like, oh, it doesn't mean I'm stuck. It means there's an arrow pointing me to an opportunity. So yes. And you and I've talked about how a lot of this isn't algebra. You don't go in a classroom, you don't learn the formula. And once you know it, you don't need to go back to the classroom again because you already know it. This is golf. We are constantly leveling up the game. Your life is golf. Sales coaching is golf. You're always trying to improve where you are, and there's always a place to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, perfect analogy. Well, and I am just now taking up golf. Like seriously, like I just got my own clubs this weekend and just started, like I have played before with my family, but it was really just like, oh, let's take mom along. Now, like I'm going to do it. And so, yes, that's a good analogy.
Well, and that means too, that there's no judgment. If you go into that setting, it doesn't mean you're bad at something. It just means you want to keep getting better. Right.
Yes.
And getting rid of the judgment around looking for someone to support you.
Yes.
Again, go back to if you're always growing, then getting support means you're always going into a new pot. You're always looking to be a bigger version, and getting support to do that from someone who's been there ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us are just pulling each other up, right?
Right. Oh, yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what are your goals for business and in life?
Gosh, when you mentioned that we'd be talking about this, I struggle with the whole buckshot versus sniper and break it down. I do triathlon. I'm looking to do my first Ironman fairly soon. I'd like to do it. I was signed up to do one in June of 2020. So you'll know why that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I'm doing more presentations at local, regional levels and looking to do more national ones. I did in my previous job and looking to do more of those. That's a lot of fun to be able to present at a larger scale. I'm growing my small group coaching because I'm finding that a business may bring me in to coach their team, but there are individuals who are looking for coaching, and it's less expensive if they come in with
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 people who share similar challenges, and we do it as a group. It's less expensive, and seeing a lot of impact that way, that's really fun. So I have a new group forming, and we're always, once the group we get to 5 in the group, I start another group because we want to keep it small so everyone's getting personalized coaching, but they just come in and say, this is where I'm stuck, and we talk through it. And most people get stuck in similar places, even if they're in different businesses, so everyone's learning from the discussion. That's fun. I'd say the other thing that I was shocked to find, our business model was small to medium sized businesses, and then I started the small group coaching for the individuals who wanted it. And then all of a sudden there were large companies showing up, and I was surprised because I'm thinking, well, you can hire anyone you want, but they were saying no one's doing it like you are. No one's coming in and looking at what we're doing, and they're not just coaching in the office, but they're doing it consistently, and they're going out in the field and they're modeling it and they're mentoring it. And who knew? So we've had some large companies that we're in conversation with doing some large projects. So kind of allowing, one of my goals is I don't want to serve everyone. We talked about not wanting to serve everyone, but realizing what you do is unique and how in certain settings it can serve companies and individuals. Just getting on that and developing that more.
Yes. Oh, excellent. And so, okay, so share then, I love asking this question, share some accomplishments, and this can be like one professional and one personal that you're really proud of.
Okay.
I love when we get to brag on ourselves. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we don't like bragging on ourselves, and yet this is the time to brag on yourself.
Okay. All right. Well, and this is kind of a challenge that turned into a success. So as I mentioned, I do triathlon, and I've probably done 30 or 40 in my life. Most of them, the bulk of my triathlon competing started when I was around 45. So it's not like this is something that is for just when you're young. But I went to the national championships, I think it was about in 2017. And while I was thrilled to be there and felt very excited because there aren't that many people, and I had to laugh. My son was like, well, Mom, you were competing in your age group. How tough can that be? He's kind of blowing off the idea that I'd gone to the national championships in triathlon. But it was really tough. I had trouble. The wetsuit was too small. I ended up having to take it off in the water to finish the race. And that definitely slowed me down and took a ton of energy as I was struggling with it. So the performance, while I finished, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So then my big thing was I had to qualify again so I could go back. And when I went back, I was in a group of 38 women. I came in at somewhere around 14th out of 38. And the first 8 women were all wearing the same uniform because they just come back from competing in Denmark for the US. So I'm thinking, this is not a bad group hanging with. Right? So to be able to compete twice nationally in a championship, then to be able to take a difficult experience that really pushed me and come back and do it again and show up the way I wanted to, that's something that it was very mentally taxing, physically taxing. I had to really become a lot more humble about it and dig into myself for what I needed to do that. So that
don't you think there's so much correlation though between that, like training for whatever it is of an athlete or exercise, like whatever it is, competition like that, and business, where it's just the discipline, it's the mental stamina, it's the emotional stamina. I mean, all of that. I feel like you could probably take everything that you learned from that and plop it right into business.
Yes. The two places that I saw it show up in business were in the endurance training I do, where you realize it's not about one day of training. It's about the consistent training, and that some days are better days than others, but that it's the net effect of all the training and then holding the vision of where you're going. And the other situation is, I remember my dad had been incredibly sick about 11 years ago, and we thought many times we were losing him. In fact, he coded 20 times. So it wasn't like we were afraid, but like we were losing him. And realizing that just keeping a vision of what's out there on the shore and not worrying about where we are at the moment, not getting too emotionally attached to that, because we're just trusting that we're headed up there. We know where we're going. Today isn't going to define me. Being able to mentally get there, like a bad training day doesn't mean you're going to lose a race, and neither does a bad sales day or a bad business day. That it's just consistent behaviors applied on a regular basis. That's where a lot of what I learned from all those experiences that show up in my work, my business all the time.
That goes back to that resiliency, right? Of being resilient and going, okay, and let's do it again tomorrow, regardless of what the outcome was yesterday.
Right. Well, and even leveling up from that, I've been reading a book called Anti-Fragile. And the idea of anti-fragile is resiliency means you are in a difficult situation and you maintain. Anti-fragile is where you actually say, okay, we're in this. Where's the opportunity here? How do I actually take the chaos and create something that's never existed? I'm going to create an opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So when you think about the people who created totally different and amazing businesses in COVID, they took a chaotic, scary thing and found an opportunity. That's anti-fragile, where you look for the opportunity in the problem, not the problem in the opportunity.
Yes. Oh, I was just having a conversation about, and I look at it from that, there are dangers of stress, right? Like if you do not know stress management techniques, and you are not able to get yourself back at tapping into your parasympathetic system, and you are always living in fight or flight, your body at some point, your body's giving you signals all the time, right? And those are signals that hey, we need to tap back into our parasympathetic system. Anyway, however, there can be good things about stress also, and knowing how to use stress to your advantage. And just I put this on my list, this Anti-Fragile book. I definitely want to read it. But you knowing how to use stress to your advantage also, because it can create some amazing connections. It can, there's a whole bunch of things that it can create when you learn how to, instead of thinking stress, I can't handle it, what's going on, right? Instead of just changing your mindset around it and having the tools to use so that you can, look for opportunities. I love that. Absolutely. That's fabulous.
Well, it puts you back in I'd say the power seat, because it's not about control, because control is in scarcity. When we're trying to control something, we're feeling scarcity, but when you're in power, you're back in your expansion, right? And so it's sometimes with stress, and when we're feeling really triggered, it's like, how do I use this to inform me? What is this telling me?
Yes.
It's about, what do I believe about myself that somehow is being threatened?
Correct.
I'm feeling stressed, and it can really help you find get to that vision on the shore. You're not reacting to things.
Yes. Oh, so much goodness. Okay. So you've given so many great nuggets. Where can people find you after the podcast? How can they connect with you? LinkedIn, website, what do you have for us?
Okay, sure. Is this okay if I mention the top 100?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. She has something very exciting. We got sidetracked on the triathlon. My fault. Yes. Please mention your professional accomplishment because this is very exciting.
I appreciate you asking about that. I just found out recently that, Small Business Monthly has a magazine, and they put out every year the top 100 people to know in St. Louis to advance your business. And I was excited to be chosen as one of those. So looking forward to the award luncheon on the 10th of May and just seeing where that takes me.
Congratulations, Carrie. That is so exciting. Please forgive me for moving on before you mentioned that, because seriously, that is a huge honor for you, and congratulations. Such a big deal. And so I think that, well, I knew when I met you, and I didn't know you were in the top 100 or whatever, but I was like, she is someone that I need to know, because I feel like people need to know her. So in that way, I'm glad that you are being recognized for that. So congratulations. And I'll be looking for that in I feel like I already saw something about it, maybe on LinkedIn or through an email or something. Was it? Yes, that's what I thought I did. So great. Okay. So now where can people connect with you?
They can call me or text me at my cell phone. I'm 314-886-0166. They can email me at Carrie, Carrie, at wideawakebusiness.com, or find me on LinkedIn or Facebook.
Okay, perfect. And LinkedIn under your name, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And then is there a website, or is it best to just contact you personally?
I think the website is interesting, just looking at the company as a whole, and that's wideawakebusiness.com.
Okay, perfect. All right, excellent. Okay, well, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for all of the great advice that you have shared with us about your journey, as well as how you're helping your clients be so successful. I love how you take it one step further in the sales process, and you are really out there with people in the field. I think that's definitely something that makes you different than other people. So kudos to you. And I wish you all of the best success moving forward.
Well, I'm looking forward to looking for ways we can work together and sort of celebrate what you do as well. It's always an honor to be on your show and be in a conversation with you. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. To my listeners, please be sure and subscribe to the channel. Also share this with anyone that you feel like needs these golden nuggets. There are a lot of business people out there that definitely want to increase and improve their sales. So please make sure that you are sending this to them. Also like and comment, and I will see you next week with our next guest. Have a great one and rise up and live.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.